For those who find reading difficult or daunting, I would like to simply and warmly explain how classic literature can offer profound insights into our lives and society. Today, let's explore together the book The Lost Colonel Chabert, written by the great French literary figure Honoré de Balzac. This novel is not at all difficult to understand, rather, it tells a powerful story that presents important questions we should all consider in the journey of life. Forgotten names, lost glory, the questions raised by the lost Colonel Chabert. Honoré de Balzac was a writer who powerfully captured the essence of 19th-century French society through his epic series of novels collectively titled La Comédie Humaine. His works surprisingly reflect the very conflicts, desires, and social injustices we still face today. Among these works, The Lost Colonel Chabert is especially renowned for its brief yet vivid and enduring impression on readers. 1. The tale begins a ghostly arrival of a man. The story begins at a lawyer's office in Paris in 1818. At that time, Paris was a city in transition, having lost the glory of the Napoleonic era and now in the midst of establishing a new order under the Restoration. People were forgetting their former heroes and were increasingly measuring success by wealth and power. One day, the lawyer Derville encounters a poor, aged man who claims he is the brave cavalry officer Colonel Chabert from the time of Napoleon. However, it is officially recorded that Colonel Chabert died in the 1807 Battle of Eylau, and his wife, Madame Delphine, has since remarried and now lives as the wealthy and noble Madame de Ferrand, enjoying a life of luxury. This situation, a man who was supposedly dead suddenly reappears, insisting he is the long-forgotten colonel, raises a strange dilemma for the lawyer Derville. What strange fate might have led this forgotten man to return to the world? And what kind of tragic story might explain the colonel's return after being presumed dead? 2. A living corpse, the tragedy of Colonel Chabert. Colonel Chabert's story is tragically unbelievable. During the Battle of Eylau, he suffered severe injuries from enemy artillery and was buried beneath the bodies of the fallen. Miraculously, he survived and endured countless hardships in the ruins, only to be taken to a hospital in an unconscious state, and then spent years wandering aimlessly, losing his memory. Eventually, he regained his identity and returned to Paris. However, the Paris he returned to knew no one who remembered him or welcomed him. Worse still, for his former wife Delphine, now the rich Madame de Ferrand, his reappearance was nothing but a threat. She judged that his revival would jeopardize her current high position and significant wealth, thus completely rejecting and denying his existence. Here we encounter our first crucial question: what truly proves one's identity as me? Colonel Chabert returned with his name, past glory, military number, and even the terrible scars left by his battlefield injuries. Yet no one believed him, and society did not recognize his existence. Officially, he was already dead, and his wife denied any relationship with him. While physically alive, he was treated like a ghost, desperately fighting to prove his identity. 3. The embodiment of desire and opportunism, Delphine. The other crucial character in the story is Colonel Chabert's ex-wife, Delphine. After the collapse of the Napoleonic regime and the rise of the former aristocracy, she quickly adapted to the new era by marrying the Count de Ferrand and accumulating substantial wealth. She is depicted as a character who will stop at nothing to protect her success and riches. Initially, Delphine feigns kindness and tries to pacify Colonel Chabert. But soon, her true nature is revealed. She urges him to give up all his claims and simply vanish, offering him a small sum of money in return. When he continues to assert his rights, she even cunningly tries to have him declared mentally ill. Delphine is a microcosm of the society of her time. In an era when the glory of Napoleon was fading and materialism and personal desire began to dominate, she represents the cruel opportunist who readily sacrifices love, loyalty, and morality for wealth and prestige. This prompts us to ask, for what do we live? What must we sacrifice to achieve success and happiness? Through Delphine, we are made to reflect upon how insatiable desires can reduce a human being to despair. 4. The lawyer Derville, between law and humanity. Throughout the story, the lawyer Derville is the person closest to observing Colonel Chabert's tragic fate. While striving to maintain his cool professionalism as a legal expert, he feels sympathy for the Colonel's difficult situation. Derville makes efforts to help Colonel Chabert, but his attempts are ultimately defeated by Delphine's deviousness and the harsh realities of society. Derville serves as both an observer and a mirror of our own struggles between law and humanity. He witnesses how justice does not always prevail in reality, and how laws can sometimes conflict with human dignity. What is true justice? Can law really resolve all issues? Derville's struggle brings to mind the limitations of law and reminds us of the importance of compassion and moral responsibility. 5. The final choice, the Colonel's inquiry into the essence of life. Ultimately, Colonel Chabert loses everything in his conflict with Delphine: his name, his glory, his wealth, and even his very identity. Weary from these losses, he makes a shocking decision. He chooses to abandon his name and live as an anonymous patient in an asylum. He says, "I don't want to be Colonel Chabert anymore. I don't want to live as myself anymore. The world is too cruel." The Colonel's words ask us the most painful yet profound question: what is a human life? What is the true meaning of the self we strive to protect? His final decision appears as a desperate attempt, paradoxically, to preserve his last dignity by surrendering everything. He wanted to protect his soul from being tainted in a world dominated by greed and materialism. 6. The implications of the lost Colonel Chabert for modern society. This short novel is more than just a narrative about 19th-century French society. Balzac's insight transcends time, raising deep questions for our present era. The meaning and loss of identity. We live in a world filled with many different versions of me, myself online, at work, with family. What is the true me among all of these identities? Can we still be whole if one of them is lost? Colonel Chabert's story shows how fragile our existence can become when names, professions, and social status are taken away. Materialism and the loss of humanity. Delphine's character reflects the endless materialistic desires and selfishness of modern society. For money and success, what are we willing to sacrifice? Can we even betray relationships, morality, and basic humanity? This novel poses the fundamental question: does material wealth really bring happiness? Social memory and oblivion. Colonel Chabert was once a hero who fought for his country but was forgotten and denied as the times changed. How much do we remember about the sacrifices and contributions of the past? Are we turning our backs on forgotten people in our pursuit of new values and success? Individual dignity and social responsibility. The tragedy of Colonel Chabert ultimately stems from the harshness and indifference of a society. What role should society play when an individual's dignity is threatened? What form of genuine help can we offer to those in suffering? 7. Reading, the simplest path to wisdom in life. The Lost Colonel Chabert is a brief yet powerful novel that shakes our hearts and prompts deep reflection. Perhaps for those who find reading difficult, this book will serve as the perfect guide to understand why classics remain classics and how stories can resonate with our lives. Reading is not merely about decoding words. It is about stepping into another's life across time and space, broadening our perspective. It allows us to empathize with others' joys and sorrows, understand the contradictions of society, and ultimately reflect on our own lives. Through this process, we gain not only knowledge but also culture, by which I mean the wise attitude of understanding the world, empathizing with others, and forming our own values, not through difficult jargon or specialized knowledge, but through thoughtful engagement with life. If you have the courage to open a book, The Lost Colonel Chabert will raise new questions for your life, and expand your view of the world and yourself. Do not think of this as a difficult classic, read it like watching an exciting drama. I wholeheartedly recommend this story, hoping it enriches your journey of reading. May this one book add depth and richness to your journey as a reader.